talk about an interesting idea because there's a lot of agentic product management tooling. Everyone's talking about their product stack, but I think there's a piece of it which is missing. I think most of the new stack is focused on the sort of ideas side. So obviously we have Claude, ChatGPT if you're still using that, and the LLMs writing things, vibe coding, agentic coding, producing prototypes, other prototyping tools, I guess, image gen, design stuff, and it's all in this, ideas and productivity space. And I think the thing that's kind of missing is validation, and that is still users. So shipping stuff has gotten really fast. More of this is happening, and then it's just hitting users. This loop is sort of, it's faster, but it's still kind of as slow as you can get validation and feedback from users. There's obviously some validation happening when you ask Claude to check your spec, etc., etc., etc. But this is still essential, and this is still kind of down at human speed to some degree. And what I want to talk about today is how Semilattice fits into this bit, because we can simulate users. So I want to show you how you can do this loop with our product and with other tools as well. So let's start. This is a real example. We recently added an organization teams feature, and so let's imagine we're doing that again. And what we've got is this concept to begin with. This is how typically a product lifecycle will begin. You have an idea, you have a user problem, you have a need. So here, basically we're trying to decide granularity of sharing settings, what defaults there should be, and migration patterns. So let's have a look what we could do. We're going to go into Semilattice, we're going to create a new simulation. We're going to choose user research. We're going to do prioritize features. I'm going to put that in there. And what we want to do, attracts a new type of user. I think that's fine. And then let's have a look at software bias. Okay, here we are. So core question is, when product teams collaborate on user research and experimentation tools, how important is it that simulation models and workspaces are shared by default as team, but is kept private to individual? Okay, that's about defaults, that's good. How important is it that the simulation results are visible to all team members without having to manually share? Okay, let's focus on defaults. What collaboration capability, shared library views models the whole team can run, see each other's results. Okay, that's good. Okay, so there's a bunch of really good questions here, 10 questions in total. I'm going to hit run on that simulation. And then while that is sitting in the background, let's just have a little think about what we're doing here. So let's move that out of the way. So we're starting with our concept. Let's call that B1 concept. And now we are, say B1, let's just call it validation. This is going to be a pretty simple process. We're going to get some validation, some exploration, or some discovery of around the things mentioned in this V1 concept, and then we'll see what we can do with that. Let's go back and take a look. Okay, so overwhelmingly want team-wide visibility of research assets, but paradoxically prefer private by default sharing controls. Okay. 68.2% automatic team visibility, extremely important. One items private by default. The dominant design pattern is shared by intent with strong organizational ownership. 100% with creators and should edit user models, and it should all works with kind of saving away. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, they want transparency but fear premature exposure. 99% want visibility. They're also concerned about it being automatically visible. Now, this is interesting. Shared user model, yeah. I expect selective migration, not force moves. Default to private with frictionless. Now this is difficult. This is tricky because this is the classic kind of thing that comes out where our preference would be more sharing, because if there's a user error that they create a simulation, they don't share it because they forget to click the button. You get less collaboration happening, and this can become a problem. But then you also don't want default of sharing to have people think that we've sort of violated their privacy, shared their work too early. So this is kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go into all the details here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the markdown here, and I want to switch back into here where I've got Claude Code. And what I'm going to say is we did some research on okay, it's going to work it out. My beautiful typo. So let's go back in here. What I'm now doing is I'm taking this and I want a V2 spec. So we want to apply the validation we've just done in a few minutes and get a much better spec. Now, I guess if we go back to this idea, the idea is that without this V2 would have to happen internally. You'd have all these debates, and you try and guess what your users would want, but now we actually get a prediction of what our users want pretty quickly, and we can improve the spec. So let's let Claude work away at that. We might speed things up a little bit now in the video. Okay, Claude came back with some questions, and I kind of went with the default, what the research suggested. But now we have this tension question, and what I want actually is a couple of versions. Okay, cool. So it's just come back with the sort of structure of the spec it's writing, and around the defaults, that's where we get this split. So variant A, variant B, shared first, which is really nice. Now this is super common, typically with one of these features that gets defined, you get debates and questions around particular sub-items. Everyone agrees on a lot of stuff, but they don't agree on everything. So really what's going on here is because we've got this tension, we're going to get V2 spec A and V2 spec B. Now I'm calling it V2 because V1 is the concept and V2 is the spec. So we're going to get this split in the project, and then we can use Semilattice to help us decide which way to go. Okay, let's finish writing. So we've got tension. Okay, so we've got A there, B there, and the core piece of it. Here, default visibility. A is default private. B default shared. So what I'm now going to do, let's go back to Semilattice, create a new simulation, and let's test both of these. So let's do validated concept. Let's say pay for it because this is going to be a paid feature, and then I'm just going to dump everything in. So this A, private first. I'm going to put all of that in, and then our planning system will take care of it. I want B to be software buyers again. So that's a concept. We put it all in there. That's A. And I'm going to get B and do the same thing. Okay. We can go back, wait for these to generate their plans. So let's go and update this. So you've got private B. Private first talk. So our naming feature brought up the core thing. Private by default or private click. So what are the questions here? So this is for A. Okay, so concept A, private first, has come back, and we're seeing a lot of support for private by default, 100%, which feels a little too high. This is synthetic, and we do have complete transparency around how we've tested these models, where they're good and where they're bad. Sometimes they can be a little overeager like that, but generally this is supporting private first. Now, if we go and have a look at this shared first default, this is quite interesting. Now, our system has concluded that this is accepted, overwhelmingly accepted, which is fair if you don't view it in comparison to the other one. But actually, 94.3% are somewhat comfortable and 5.3% are very comfortable with shared by default. So they broadly accept it. This isn't like a major issue. But it's actually mostly a somewhat comfortable. One-click privacy is enough. So they're not they're not saying I want everything shared by default, which is quite interesting. Now, if I export these, let's get that there, and then this one too. And then you want to bring them into the project. Is these and get Claude to read over these results. Now, if we go back to our plan, we've got the results for these now. We did validation on the V2 spec A, B. Oh, there's a color code. On monetization viability and value property, shared first shows slightly higher conviction, stronger competitive differentiation. But its pricing story is very clearly aftermarket. Things should be bundled. That is interesting. So, willingness to pay private first, 100%. Okay, pricing model. That is interesting. So on B, they expect it bundled, but they're willing to pay for it for A. And the core thing, so privacy for rough ideas is more preferred to the sort of idea that, you could get more collaboration with default shared. Yeah, and here we go. So on B, almost everyone is somewhat comfortable, and 5.36% are very comfortable. And then there's another question it's drawn out where 22.9% remain partly uneasy with the safeguards. And so the recommendation is go with A, clarifying in lead position with privacy, not collaboration, your safe space to explore. B, generic team workspace messaging. Yeah, 51.3% of buyers choose privacy. It's a top upgrade reason. Okay, so go into those details obviously, but interestingly, here you could then go forward to a V3 final spec, and you would sort of know that this has resolved this tension. That's it. Thank you for watching.